there's difference between working with canine officers and being canine handler. So, the training, these dogs were pre-trained. The training was to train us to watch the dogs. So I'm watching his behavior. His behavior displayed everything that he was trained. He alerted positively for narcotics on an Arizona iced tea can. So I'm sitting back and I'm thinking to myself, I was like, Cyril, really? A soda can? And I'm sweating bullets because the canine sergeant's there with me. And I'm like, my dog just alerted on a soda can. So I'm like, well, that's his alert. This is his job. He's doing his job by telling me he just fell narcotics. So I said, okay, let me pull him back. So I pulled him back a little bit from the can and asked the sergeant, said, can you grab that can right there and see what's going on with it? Full soda can. Can I use your can here for a second? Wasn't this quite this small, about like this. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, it looks like a soda can. Perfect soda can. Well, lo and behold, the top's not popped, but the weight was off. So as soon as he unscrewed that top, there's heroin on the inside. I'm not sure how much heroin was on the inside.
Oh, it was a good bit, I think. It was 17 grams, brownish powder, yeah, 17 grams.
17 grams of heroin was in this can. So if you can imagine my boss, he's like, whoa, you know. He throws down so Cyril could come over, and he comes over and alerts on the can again. He's like, see, I told you I did my job. So, and all he wanted was his tennis ball. He wanted the tennis ball because he did his job. So you guys have a good department. Our command staff reorganized the department, restructured the department, made transfers and promotions where needed. And this goes to show you that what you guys invest in when you're paying your taxes is going to good use. Because that was a perfect example. I mean, I tell people about that. It's funny because it still takes a while, and I've been, since September is when we came out. So now, I believe what my dogs tell me. They always tell us in canine school when we were there, trust your partner. Trust your partner, trust your partner. Yes, ma'am.
Was the finding of the heroin, was that related to the person that jumped out of the car?
Yes, ma'am. We actually collected it as evidence, had crime lab process the can for fingerprints, and that subject's fingerprints was on that can. So subsequently, he was later charged with that. But we do a lot of different things as far as like canine. We do building searches, alarm calls. So if we go to your business or your home and the door's forced open, kicked open, the canines are better at searching buildings than us because their nose is 8 million times better than ours. Their hearing is better than ours. They see better in the dark than we do. To where, you know, if we blink the lights out right now, it'll take you a while to kind of adjust to where you can kind of see silhouettes. Well, dogs, they see black and white. They see in black and white and shades of gray. But their eyes adjust to lighting faster than ours. So it's dark out. They will let you know if someone's around and you're watching them. So it's been a great experience. Yes, ma'am.
What's the approximate value of that 17 grams of heroin?
17 grams of heroin.
I don't think it had an approximate
Well,
value.
you just have some rough idea. Street value.
From the street value, I see that's somewhere in the range of maybe $2,000 to $3,000. And I'm not an narcotics guy, but let's just say it's in the range
It's
that's.
a better idea than what I had.
Okay, well, I'll give you 17 grams is not the amount of heroin that you would use for personal consumption. So this is definitely an amount to where.
I'm sorry.
That someone would use to break down, repackage, and put out on the street. So it's definitely a distribution amount of narcotics. Yes, sir.
What's standard operating procedure for if you were entering a residence or a building where you knew there was another dog and you were entering the chain?
If there was another dog,
Yeah.
it would depend on whether or not we make contact with the homeowner or night reference that would let me know that there's another dog inside the residence. These dogs are very good at searching buildings. They're great at what they do, but they're just like us. They get distracted. They're, you know, oh, another dog's in here. The first thing they want to do is find that other dog, and then they'll find the person. But if there's evidence, I look in and I see, okay, well, there's a inside kennel or outside kennel, something that tells me that there's another dog in there, we'll just swap and change things up and use other officers. Or if they say, well, and our dogs aren't always, sent off lead to do searches. We do searches on lead too. Yes, ma'am.
Do you use specifically male or female dogs?
No, there's no distinguishment between whether or not we use male or female canines. Actually, we go down for training in North Carolina, and it depends on the rapport and the relationship. You work with a group of dogs, and whatever dogs that seem to kind of mesh with you, that they kind of pair you up, and then our canine sergeant, who's our trainer, says, okay, yes or no.
Well, is it true that they said the male dogs are easily thrown away by other female mutts or anything, more so than a female dog being
You said that the female dogs are like,
they're more on target, but the males can be lured off with another female.
I would say a lot of it is in the discipline of the dogs. I mean, they're naturally, they're animals, so they get looking. But, I'm sorry, what's that?
Are they neutered?
No, the
Oh,
male
okay.
dogs aren't neutered, and female dogs aren't spayed, unless there's some kind of medical problem to where the vet says, okay, that's what we do, then they're not. So the male dogs, they're what you would call the alphas. They get these dogs and they will come in, we have canine training, and these dogs are walking into, they're pack animals, so they come in and they say, hey, I'm the biggest and baddest, I can beat you, so when we have our canine training, that's why you hear a lot of barking and chatter from the dogs, because they're telling each other, hey, look, I'm better than you. So, a lot of times you don't hear that from the female dogs, but the female, we have, in fact, our best canine is a female Belgian Malinois named Mickey. And I
We
mean,
already know.
we call her,
Yeah, she's great.
yeah, Mickey's a wonder dog. And I mean, this dog is, she's super duper, and she's not as hard-headed as the male. So, but, yes, ma'am.
You said you actually received the dogs from overseas.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there training accomplished overseas first and then they're brought into the States?
They're what they call green dogs, which means they have some basic training. Because what they do before they send these dogs overseas, they're trained they're specifically bred for police work. They don't all look the same, they're all like different breeds. We have Belgian Malinois, we have German Shepherd, Malinois mixes, and like say my dog is what's known as East European Shepherd. So way back in the day, they crossbred the German Shepherd with the Husky, and he looks like a wolf.
Wow.
But yeah, they kind of pre-train them. They test them to see whether or not all dogs won't bite, contrary to popular belief, because you can have that dog that has the biggest and loudest and baddest bark, and that dog will not bite you until you back him into a corner, and they have no other choice but to defend themselves. So where these dogs are aggressive when needed, when they need to be. So they test them to see how good their noses are. They test them to see whether or not they have hip problems, whether or not their background in their bloodline, you're gonna have issues, because when the department purchases these dogs, they're looking at a 10, 12-year investment. So you don't want to get, let's say we throw a general figure to where you pay $10,000 for a police canine, and then 2 years later, that dog is no longer used to you. If you have that, you figure $1,000 a year, just is just rounded numbers, just kind of just throwing it out there. But you get your money over the long. It's just like investing in a police officer. So it's pretty cool in how they do it, and they are partially trained. The training is just kind of like finalizing and doing a lot of training the handler, because the dogs are very good at what they do. I can tell you, as a new canine handler, I'm okay. But I have some years to kind of grow into that, and usually they say it takes about 2 years for us to kind of be in sync with each other. So,
Are when you give the commands, are they in English, or do you speak their native tongue.
It would depend on where the dog's from. Some dogs are cross-trained in English. Like say, my dog is trained in English and in Czech. So, only the necessary, like his command to go and bite someone, his search commands, your basic commands, he understands English and he understands it in Czechoslovakian. But, his bite commands are solely in Czechoslovakian. And that is because, you know, not that they may not listen to you, but you don't want to have someone just come out and give your dog the bite command and just bite somebody. So what else had? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, when the dog's off duty, what is that, program like, or like on a weekly basis?
When they're off duty, we have like just some cages, we put them in the back of the garage. I'll just kidding. No, actually, the dogs, they're our partners, so they go home with us. So they live with us. It depends on the handler, it's all on the preference of the handler. You have to have a house with a fenced-in backyard to where your dog can roam around and have exercise room. They can live inside or outside. The department does provide you with an outside kennel, which, like, I'll give you my situation where I have an outside kennel, so when the weather's nice during the summertime, he just kind of hangs out outside. But for the majority of the part, he stays inside. And he just kind of roams around, and, you know, if he's in his outside kennel, it's usually because I'm trying to do something and he's in the way. If I'm trying to vacuum, he's following the vacuum cleaner in case he gets picked up. So, it's pretty cool, it's pretty neat. They come home. They're restricted to family members, so you have to, only family members can like take your dog and take them outside the house, to where if something happens to me, if I get into a car accident, then that dog is going to be, Zero is just going to be bananas, because he's going to say something happened to Dad. And I don't know if you're the one that caused it, but they will, at that point, he's just in a defensive mode. So family member, other K9 handlers, or, you know, K9 trainers, if there was no one, Annapolis County, we train with them a lot, so they know our dogs. Plus, when we were out in K9 school, they have a kennel to where when they go on vacation, they leave their dogs in the kennels. Now, we can make arrangements to leave our dogs there, and then we go and take care of our handler's dogs, or we can board at a private kennel. But if you can imagine this 80-pound German Shepherd that's just mean as all outdoors, and he's barking, they say, well, hey, look, you know, you gotta go take him and walk him. How do you do it, right? You just go and open up the door, and you get bit the first time, then you're all right. You go there, they're barking because they're like, man, I gotta go use the bathroom. I don't care who you are. You have the same uniform as Dad, so I want to go. They do recognize police uniforms, and not by sight, but by smell. So that doesn't mean if you just wear polyester rayon. If you, the way it was explained to us is our noses are, if you want to say, like one-dimensional, to where if you guys, if Amy's cooking chicken stew, we walk in and we, wow, you know, chicken stew, that smells good. Well, canines walk in, they're smelling peas, carrots, potatoes, all of these other different individual elements that makes up the one thing. And they have the ability to do what's called scent discriminating. Like when you talk about tracking people or tracking, following drugs, they can close out everything else, remember that smell of peas, and you know, you could put all the ingredients around, and they'll go find peas. So and that's how they're trained on the major four narcotics, the ones that we see a lot: marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin. Actually, there's 5 now because we had our class was the first class that trained on what's called MDMA, ecstasy. So they're trained on finding all of these different narcotics, and if a person's running, it depends on if we're tracking. They have the ability to follow a specific odor, but it depends on how much traffic is in that initial start.